What is Liam's proudest career moment to date?
Proudest moment.
Working with you.
Working with me.
At 73, Liam Neeson was expected to slip into quiet retirement. Instead, he's re-emerging, starring in an unexpected reboot of Naked Gun and turning heads with a new chapter in his personal life that no one saw coming. After years of heartbreak and solitude, Neeson is back in the headlines, but not for the reasons fans might expect. From his quiet life in the countryside to his surprising on-set chemistry with one of the world's most recognizable blondes, something has clearly changed. Before Liam Neeson became known for breaking bones and growling into telephones, he was a different kind of actor altogether. In the 1980s and 90s, Neeson built his reputation on thoughtful, emotionally complex roles, first on stage, then in deeply human films like Schindler's List, Michael Collins, and Kinsey. He was respected, admired, and seen as a dramatic powerhouse, not a Hollywood tough guy. That all changed in 2008 with the release of Taken. Neeson was 56 years old when he starred in the now iconic role of Brian Mills, a former CIA operative with a very particular set of skills. The film was low budget, released with little fanfare, and instantly became a cultural phenomenon. It didn't just perform well at the box office, it launched a new genre of action film, the older man with nothing left to lose archetype, and Liam became its poster child. What followed was a whirlwind. Sequels, spin-offs, a barrage of roles in gritty thrillers, revenge sagas, and survival tales.
I don't know what you want. If you're looking for ransom, I can tell you I don't have money. But what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you.
Neeson's name became synonymous with intensity and gravitas, but the kind that now came with bruised knuckles and smoking guns. And yet, as the action roles piled up, some fans began to wonder, was this really him? Behind the scenes, Neeson was never chasing stardom. He once said he didn't even expect Taken to be a hit, but the film's massive success created an unexpected second career, one he wasn't prepared for, and one that came with real emotional costs. Because even as he became Hollywood's favorite aging action star, Liam Neeson was carrying something much heavier than any weapon he held on screen. And just 1 year after that breakout role, his life would be shattered in a way no script could prepare him for. In 2009, just a year after Taken made him an international box office force, Liam Neeson's life changed forever. His wife, actress Natasha Richardson, suffered a head injury while skiing in Canada. What seemed like a minor fall turned catastrophic within hours. By the time Neeson arrived at the hospital, she was brain dead. He later revealed that when he saw her, he knew she was gone, but honored her wishes by having her life support removed and donating her organs. They had been married for 15 years. Their connection was deep, unshakable, and in an instant, she was gone. The tragedy hit Neeson like a freight train, but instead of stepping away, he threw himself into work. He accepted film after film, sometimes shooting back-to-back for years without rest. He later admitted that the non-stop schedule was a way to cope, or to avoid coping entirely. "I was running away," he said in an interview. "I didn't want to face the grief, so I just kept working." That grief followed him onto every set, into every role. It shaped the hard edges of his action characters, giving them an emotional depth that was rarely scripted. Fans saw a man fighting for his family on screen, but behind the camera, Neeson was navigating loss on a level few could imagine. Friends say he never truly healed. For a long time, he spoke of Natasha in the present tense. Some fans noticed that he still wore his wedding ring in public. And even now, over a decade later, he keeps her memory close, quietly, reverently. Liam Neeson didn't just lose his wife, he lost his center, and for a while it seemed like he'd never fully returned to the world he once knew, until recently, when something shifted. After more than a decade of playing hardened, vengeful men on the brink, Liam Neeson began to pull away from the machine that had kept him moving, and in many ways, distracted. In interviews around 2021, he openly spoke about slowing down. He hinted that the action films had run their course. "There's a couple more I'm going to do this year," he said, "and then I think that will probably be it." His fans understood. After all, Neeson had been doing his own stunts well into his 60s. The physical toll was clear. His film choices began to reflect that shift. He took on more emotionally driven roles, smaller, more personal projects like Ordinary Love, where he played a man navigating his wife's cancer diagnosis, and Made in Italy, a story about a grieving father and son trying to repair their relationship. Both were widely seen as reflections of his own inner world. He stopped attending many Hollywood events. Paparazzi sightings became rare. It seemed for a while that Liam Neeson had finally retreated into a life of quiet reflection, ready to leave the noise behind. But then came the shock announcement. Liam Neeson would star in a reboot of Naked Gun. The casting felt completely out of left field. A legendary dramatic actor and former action star known for solemn roles was stepping into a slapstick parody franchise. Fans were stunned and curious. Was this reinvention, a late career curveball, or was it something deeper? Insiders say Neeson was drawn to the project because it allowed him to do something he hadn't done in years, laugh. But Naked Gun wasn't the only surprise, because while filming began, another unexpected storyline started to unfold, one involving his co-star, Pamela Anderson. And this time, the headlines weren't about grief, they were about something else entirely. When Liam Neeson signed on for the Naked Gun reboot, fans were already buzzing, but what no one saw coming was the unexpected pairing that would steal headlines before the film even wrapped: Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson. At first, it was just a photo. Neeson and Anderson leaving a restaurant in Beverly Hills, both smiling. Then came more: sightings at lunches, quiet dinners, even a long walk together on a Malibu beach. The media exploded. But this wasn't just tabloid fodder. It was confirmed by multiple sources close to the production. Neeson and Anderson had grown close, and not just as co-stars. Neither of them made a public statement. But in true Liam Neeson fashion, his silence only added to the intrigue. For many fans, the pairing was hard to wrap their heads around. The famously private widower and the bombshell icon, both in their 50s and 70s, both veterans of fame's harsh spotlight, finding companionship in one another. Whether or not their connection turns into a long-term relationship, one thing is certain: Pamela Anderson has brought something new into Liam Neeson's life: joy. And perhaps that's what makes their dynamic so powerful. It's not about headlines or attention. It's about two people who've been through the fire, finding warmth again. And as the cameras rolled, their off-screen spark began to mirror something even more unexpected in front of the lens. When Liam Neeson was announced as the lead in the Naked Gun reboot, reactions ranged from stunned to skeptical. Could the man who built a career on Shakespeare, biopics, and gritty revenge thrillers really pull off slapstick comedy? But on set, any doubts quickly melted away. Those working behind the scenes say Neeson was all in, studying old footage of Leslie Nielsen, working closely with the directors on timing, and embracing the absurdity of it all with a surprising sense of ease. One crew member described it best: he didn't try to act funny, he let the script be funny, and that's what made it work. In early test screenings, insiders say audiences were drawn not just to the humor, but to the energy between the two leads. There's a softness to their interactions, a wink just beneath the surface that makes the chaos around them feel oddly grounded. The film's tone walks the line between parody and heart. While it pays homage to the original Naked Gun films with outrageous gags and slapstick setups, there's a more emotional core to this reboot. Neeson's character, much like the actor himself, is older, wiser, and a bit world-weary. He's not just bumbling through a case, he's searching for connection. And maybe that's why Neeson said yes to this role. Because after years of brooding, bruised heroes, he was ready to laugh again, and when the cameras stopped rolling, that laughter didn't stay on set. While the headlines focus on Liam Neeson's late-life return to comedy and his connection with Pamela Anderson, those close to him know that his greatest role has always been one thing: father. After Natasha Richardson's sudden death, Liam was left to raise their two teenage sons, Michael and Daniel, on his own. The years that followed were not glamorous. They were quiet, painful, focused entirely on holding the family together. "We just got through it," Neeson once said, "day by day." Michael, the older of the two, would later change his last name to Richardson to honor his mother's legacy. It was a gesture that Liam supported wholeheartedly. Today, Michael is pursuing a career in film, both in front of and behind the camera, and has spoken openly about wanting to create stories that reflect his family's journey through grief and healing. Daniel, on the other hand, took a different path. He launched a wellness and fashion brand that emphasizes sustainability and mental health. Though more private than his brother, he remains close to Liam and is often spotted visiting his father's estate in upstate New York. Despite his global fame, Liam has kept his children away from the glare of Hollywood. He's never used them for publicity or appearances. Instead, he's focused on building a legacy they can be proud of, one rooted not in red carpets but in resilience, values, and emotional honesty. And, while his new relationship has sparked headlines, Liam is still fiercely protective of his family's privacy. Friends say he didn't expect to fall into companionship again, but he's allowing himself to enjoy it, carefully, quietly, without forgetting the life he built before. Because fame comes and goes, films fade, but fatherhood, that's forever. And it's the one title Liam Neeson will never walk away from. Far from Hollywood's lights and red carpets, Liam Neeson lives a very different kind of life. Tucked away in Millbrook, a quiet town in upstate New York, Neeson has created a world of privacy, routine, and peace. The estate, once shared with Natasha and their sons, sits on sprawling acres of woods and hills. Locals say he often takes long walks alone, sometimes stopping by a nearby cafe for tea, always gracious, always low-key. There are no entourages, no limousines, just Liam, walking his dog, picking up groceries, nodding politely to strangers who rarely bother him. For years, this rural sanctuary was his retreat from the pain. It's where he processed Natasha's death. It's where he raised his sons. And now it's where he protects the simple life he's built from the noise of the outside world. He's very humble, one Millbrook resident shared. You'd never guess he's a movie star. He's just a guy who likes quiet mornings and being left alone. But the solitude isn't just about healing. It's about control. In a business that demands constant exposure, Neeson has drawn firm boundaries. He rarely gives interviews. He's avoided social media entirely, and when paparazzi do catch a glimpse, it's never staged or performative. It's just life, unguarded and unfiltered. Even now, as interest in his personal life heats up again with his new relationship, Neeson hasn't changed his rhythm. Friends say Pamela has visited Millbrook discreetly, and while she's more accustomed to the limelight, she's respected his need for privacy. It's not a hideout, it's home. And for a man who's spent so much of his life performing for the world, Millbrook offers something Hollywood never could: quiet. But even in that quiet, there's one part of Liam Neeson the public still hasn't seen. For all the roles he's played, from haunted widowers to relentless assassins, Liam Neeson has remained one of Hollywood's most private enigmas, and perhaps that's what makes him so compelling. Even after decades in the public eye, no one really knows the man behind the stare. What we do know is this: Neeson is a man of deep faith. Raised Catholic in Northern Ireland, he still speaks of prayer with sincerity, not performance. He said that in his darkest moments, especially after Natasha's death, it was prayer that helped him survive. Not for answers, but for strength. And he's never tried to erase the past. Quite the opposite. He carries it with him. He's spoken of Natasha in interviews as if she's still with him. He's admitted to having conversations with her in his head. "I still talk to her," he said once. Not out loud, but she's there. Always. And yet, there's still a protective shield around him. He avoids fanfare. He rarely speaks about his children in public. When asked about love, he offers vague, quiet answers. But watch closely, and the truth comes through. Not in words, but in the way he lives. He's a man still healing, still adjusting, still human. And at 73, he seems to be discovering something unexpected. Not just happiness, but permission. Permission to smile, to reconnect, to live. Because the most powerful roles Liam Neeson has ever played have always been the ones closest to his heart. At 73, Liam Neeson isn't chasing fame, relevance, or applause. He's chasing something far more meaningful: peace. He's lived through unimaginable loss. He's reinvented himself when no one expected it. He's taken on roles that stunned critics, thrilled audiences, and more recently made them laugh. And now, as the world watches his unexpected return to the spotlight, alongside Pamela Anderson no less, he's doing it the only way he knows how: quietly, thoughtfully, and with full control. He doesn't explain his choices. He doesn't owe anyone a performance off camera. And maybe that's what makes this chapter of his life so powerful. Because while others fade into retirement or grasp desperately at the spotlight, Neeson has found a rare middle ground. He shows up when it matters, to act, to love, to be a father. And then he disappears into the quiet of upstate woods, where no cameras follow and no scripts exist. His story isn't just about aging gracefully, it's about aging honestly. He doesn't pretend to have all the answers. He doesn't pretend the grief is gone, but he's still here, present, evolving, and unexpectedly content. For fans, it's a joy to see a man who's given so much to cinema finally giving something back to himself. So what is Liam Neeson's life like at 73? It's complex, it's emotional, it's far from over, and it's his. From legendary action roles to late-life laughter, from devastating heartbreak to new beginnings, Liam Neeson's greatest performance may be the one he's living right now. Drop a comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more forgotten Hollywood tales.